But we're going to get started. Rob and I are so glad you joined us tonight. Guys, there was 43 people who signed up for tonight. That is crazy. I just cannot believe that response. I was like, did they put my name and Rob's name? And they're like, oh, we got to go to that because Rob and Lorraine are leading. I was like, that
Yep.
sounds right. That sounds right, right, Rob?
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
completely accurate.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what I figured. I'm like, we just brought the people here. We're such influencers. Um, because we really follow our core values. And so I'm going to hand it over to Rob and he's going to start us off. I am going to share my screen for the slides, Rob. Okay, so you'll have them and I'll let people in as they come. Okay, so let me share my screen and then you can start.
Fabulous. All right. So tonight is all about our core values. And many of you have been around for a while. You're familiar with our core values. We did a core value training in the spring, right, Lorraine? It was in the spring, right?
Was it in the
Sure.
spring? I don't remember.
It was
I think it was like February, January,
I
February,
don't know.
something like that. I think it was
It was
still winter.
sometime. And so this is nothing new to you. However, we did sort of a refresher on the language around our core values. And so while nothing fundamentally changed, we did change the language around it just to make it more relevant, more up to date. And so we wanted to just take time to work through that and review all those changes with you. And for those of you who this is sort of the first time going through our values, I'm super excited for you. I think you're not going to find anything surprising at all. I'm fairly positive that you have heard all of this because we are very intentional about using this language in our communication and just talking in general. And so, but this is just a refresher, just a review. And I think we're going to have a fun night. But let me start by just saying thank you. Thank you guys for serving. You guys get it. You guys get that we're on a mission and that this mission is super important. And I know that we have incredibly busy lives, and there are lots of other things you could be doing other than taking time to serve at church. So we just want to recognize that and thank you so much for all that you do. How's that, Lorraine? Was that good?
You did great. So let's get started. Some of you hopefully received your What We Value pamphlet. If you did not receive that today, we will have one for you. So don't worry, it's not going to make it or break your experience with us because everything is going to be on this slide. But if you didn't get it today, make sure that you see your staff ministry leader and they will make sure that you get one. So you can follow along as we're going through this. And so we're actually going to start with what makes an LCBC volunteer. And so the team at LCBC, we're focused, collaborative, and growth minded, all with one shared mission, which is introducing more people to Jesus and helping them follow him. And so these three work together so that we are ready to bring our mission to life each day. And so I just want you guys to reflect really, how do you personally see yourself contributing to LCBC's mission of introducing people to Jesus and together fully following him? What does that look like for you personally? And I, as you guys are on this call and going through our values, if you don't see yourself as a leader, I want you to know that you are a leader. And the role that you play, what you do, whether it's on a Sunday morning, middle of the week, whatever it is, you are important to what we're doing at LCBC. But as a leader, this is what we're saying that we are. And so we're going to actually start with our first value. And Rob, take it away.
Yeah. So our first value is that we run after the one. Like I said, you guys have heard this, you've heard this language. But this number one value is number one for a reason. All the other values just sort of support this one. This is what our mission is. And it's running after the one isn't about programs or numbers. It is all about people. It's all about believing that lost people matter to God. And because of that, they matter to us as well. And um, this means we choose our mission over our comfort, setting aside our personal preferences and doing whatever it takes. And so that's what it looks like running after the one. And we've got a video for you where Jason goes into it a little bit more.
So this is going to be tricky, but I'm going to do it.
You're gonna do it. I have complete confidence.
Can everybody see the video? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, great.
When we talk about who we are and how we operate at LCBC, at the forefront of everything we do is our heartbeat and this one simple truth, and it shows up in our very first value: we run after the one. Every other value we hold exists to support this one right here. We run after the one. In Luke chapter 19, verse 10, Jesus tells us he came to seek and save the lost, not the found. And so we believe that lost people matter to God. And because of that, as a church, we're going to do anything and everything we can to reach just one more. As followers of Jesus, we're going to do anything and everything we can to reach just one more. This means that we set aside our own personal preferences. We set aside our own comfort. We put aside our own likes and dislikes in order to reach just one more, because reaching just one more person matters more than anything that's getting in our way. When someone's eternity is on the line, it's not about us. It's not about you. It's not about me. Running after the one requires us to do what other people won't do so that we can reach people others will not reach. You know, Jesus crossed lines all the time, didn't he? He stepped into messy spaces. He chose people that other people overlooked. He met people exactly where they were. And if that's who he is, then that's who we want to be. And we also want to make it simple for people to understand what a life of following Jesus looks like. We're not trying to be confusing. We're not trying to use a bunch of big, Bible-y sounding words that make us feel real smart, but intimidate and leave people who are outsiders on the outside going, I don't understand what they're saying. We just want to be real clear. We want to be real. We want to be accessible so that anyone can take their next step towards a relationship with Jesus. We're running after the one. It's not just something that we inspire others to do. It's something we do. Reaching people requires pursuing relationships. Are you doing that in your life? Am I doing that? We ought to always be asking that. And so we pursue personal relationships with lost people, the people in our lives at work, in our neighborhoods, in our families. God has placed you where you are as a missionary. And maybe that's news to some of you. But once you become a Christian, you're in full-time ministry. If you're a follower of Jesus. And so every place you go, the home you're in, the neighborhood you're in, the workplace you're in, God has strategically placed you there to run after the one. People that he's placed around you because he wants to reach. Each person, I think, should have their one, the one person that you're praying for, that you're showing up for, that you're caring for, that you're personally invested in. So how do we know if we're doing this well? We ask ourselves these kinds of questions, and I would just encourage you to ask them. When making decisions, am I prioritizing who we're trying to reach over my personal preferences or comfort zone? The second question is, what's the name of one person that I've personally invited to church recently? And if you can't think of a name, I don't know, maybe that's a nudge from God. You need to start putting yourself out there. And the last question is, would someone far from Jesus clearly understand what we're inviting them into through the environments, language, and the tone that I use? As a church and as individuals, we're going to keep running after the one. We cannot drift on this one. We're going to push past comfort. We're going to push past personal preferences and past convenience to do whatever it takes to reach just one more.
Guys, just realized you only had audio and not the video. I will fix that for the next one.
It'll be even better. So guys, we just came off a series all about the end times, and we learned that we are in the end times. And I loved how Jason used the analogy of the first soccer game he went to see his future wife, Jenny, play in a game, and he had never been to a soccer game before. And all of a sudden the clock runs out and the game keeps going. And that's essentially where we're at right now, guys. We are in those last seconds of the game that you don't know how much time is left. We don't know when Jesus is going to return. And so this mission we're on, this running after the one, it is unbelievably important. And I loved how Jason said that we're all in ministry, and that is so, so true. And frankly, your roles in ministry are probably more important than Lorraine and I, because you're the ones out on the front lines, in your offices, on your job sites, at home, and you are ministering, you are building relationships, and so yeah, we all need to have someone that we are running after. And I know for Becca and I, one of our ones, well, two of our ones are Allie and Mar. There are new neighbors that moved in, and we are working on building a relationship with them. And we have not invited them to church yet, because we want to have that relationship in place so that when we make that invite, they trust us and they want to say yes. And so that day is coming. It's coming quickly, but we're working hard on that. So my question is, who is your one? And Lorraine, are we going around at all, or is this just an internal
not this
question?
time? Not this
Okay.
time, just internal. Yeah.
Yeah. So just lastly, every person matters. And so as a volunteer, what does it look like to prioritize the one, to run after the one? It means that we walk guests to, if they're looking for the bathroom, if they're looking for new here, we walk them over there. We don't just point. We choose warmth over efficiency all day long, guys. Choose warmth over efficiency. Loving on someone and running after them is not efficient. And if you want it to be efficient, it's just not going to be. And so be interruptible. Be able to step away from something and just spend time with people, and being attentive even when busy. Like I said, be interruptible. Value number 2, Lorraine.
Yeah, so our next value is to pursue excellence, and I'm going to stop sharing right now, and because I need to share the other screen because it's not embedded. So just hold on one second. So I can get to the right one.
Look at Lorraine dropping like high-tech knowledge with the word embedded. Geesh.
Hey,
Impressive.
there you go.
Our second core value at LCBC is this: we pursue excellence. Kind of simple. We pursue excellence. And the reason for that is simple as well. We believe God gives his best for us. And so he deserves our best in return. Excellence is not perfection. It's not what we're talking about. It's not about being flawless and never making mistakes. It's about doing our very best with what we've been given and offering God work that shows that we are committed to the mission that he's entrusted to us. Colossians 3:23 tells us to work as if we are working for the Lord, not for men. That's a crazy idea. In other words, everything we do, just tell ourselves, we're doing this for Jesus. What kind of work would that require? How would we work? Would we bring our best? We probably would. So I'll tell you what it means for us. It means we pay attention to details around here. It matters to us. When something's thoughtfully prepared, organized, or executed, it removes distractions so that people can focus on Jesus, not on what's out of place. We also pursue excellence by keeping our eyes on what matters most. You know, there's always 100 things we can do, but only a few that truly move the mission forward. And so we focus on what's most important, clearing away anything and everything that steals energy from the things that will change lives. Next, what do? We give our full effort with urgency. We work hard. What we're doing has eternal impact. And every weekend, every conversation, every moment with a guest or a teammate, it matters. There's a weight to the mission that fuels us to show up ready and prepared and committed. So memorize your music, be on time, Do the door with excellence. Make the follow-through call with excellence. Everything we do well. Pursuing excellence also means we don't settle. We do quality work and we make things better. We celebrate progress, but we always look for ways to grow, refine, elevate what we do. And then finally, we pursue excellence by becoming lifelong learners. We grow in our expertise. We never stop learning, whether it's learning a new skill, embracing feedback, connecting with someone from outside our church, or stretching beyond our comfort zone. We keep developing ourselves. Why? So we can better serve the people God sends our way. So here's a few questions we use to honestly evaluate whether we're going to live this value out. The first is this: does my work consistently reflect the level of care and excellence I believe God deserves, even when no one's watching and even when no one's checking? Second question: am I leaving the things I touch better than when I found them? The systems, the environments, the processes, the people, are they better after I was with them? And the last one is, am I focusing my time and energy on the few things that could have the greatest impact for the mission? Or am I staying busy with a bunch of good things, but less important work? And when was the last time I learned from someone else? We're talking about honoring God with our very best in the big moments, and most importantly, in the unseen ones. That's what it means to pursue excellence.
All right, guys. So what we just heard is that at LCBC, pursuing excellence, it's not about being perfect. And I'm one of the first to say I can be a perfectionist, but I can say excellence is not about being, it's not about being perfect. And so I just want to get back to the screen I was sharing before. There we are. Excellence helps remove distractions so people can focus on Jesus. It means paying attention to what matters most, giving full effort with urgency, not settling, and continuing to grow so we can better serve others. And so excellence is showing God. Hold on, let me go to the next screen. I think it's the next one. Yeah. Excellence is showing God and people that they matter. And so some examples that we can think about as we're volunteering is showing up on time and prepared, owning your role even when no one is watching, caring about details because guests feel them, checking for dust bunnies, that's my favorite, reading the small group guides before you arrive. So just being prepared, your heart's being prepared, and then talking to someone while refilling your coffee instead of just being isolated to yourself. And so how does excellence help people focus on Jesus instead of distractions? And so these are some questions that we have on here that you could be asking yourself. Does my work consistently reflect the level of care and excellence I believe God deserves, even when no one is checking? Am I leaving the things touched better than I found them? Systems, environments, processes, and people. Am I focusing my time and energy on the few things that have the greatest missional impact, or am I staying busy with good but less important work? And when is the last time I've learned from someone else? And so I encourage you, as we're talking about excellence here, what does that mean for you in your role? This value does not work alone. It needs to be with relationships. And so our next one is we prioritize relationships. Because if we were just focusing on excellence, we would be robots, guys. And we don't want to be robots. And so it does need to work together with relationships. And so, Rob, our next one. There you go.
Yeah, I love how Lorraine segued into this. Yeah, excellence does not work on its own. If we only pursued excellence, we would have an unbelievable space and unbelievable programming, and it would just be incredible, and there would be no one there. And so that's why our third one is we prioritize relationships. And I just have to say, I am super proud of Sinking Spring. I think this value is, we are really good at prioritizing relationships, but we can get even better. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit. Lorraine, you want to show the video?
Yes.
Our third core value at LCBC is we prioritize relationships. Why do we do this? Because we believe getting relationships right is how we most effectively lead people to Jesus. Jesus actually tells us in John 13:35 that it is by our love for one another that everyone in the world is going to know we are his disciples. In other words, everything we do as a church is about introducing people to Jesus and together fully following him. And one of the primary ways that he works is through relationships, through people feeling seen and known and welcome and cared for. Long before someone is ready to trust what we say about Jesus, they often first need to experience his love through us. That's why prioritizing relationships is not something extra. It is essential to how we live out the mission that he's giving us. So what does this look like in the ways that we serve and lead here at LCBC? The first is that it starts with choosing to always honor. Honor. It's a powerful word. We speak well of one another here. We don't talk behind each other's back. We assume the best, and we treat every person with dignity and respect, even when they are not in the room. Honor builds trust, and trust opens the door for influence. Next, we build connections. We choose people over projects. You're going to get busy. You're going to get in sort of work mode. That's not an excuse to be a jerk to people. We choose people over projects. We look for opportunities to engage with others, to listen, and to make them feel valued. Ministry happens best in the context of meaningful relationships, so we make the effort to know the people we serve and the people that we serve alongside. What else do? We collaborate. We recognize that we are better when we work together. Collaboration means inviting others in, trading ideas, carrying the load as a team. It's not just about efficiency, it's about unity. And finally, we make it personal. We're not transactional or surface level in the way we interact with people. We care about people's stories, their highs, their lows. We show up with empathy and intentionality because the way we treat people communicates the heart of our church and the heart of Jesus. People don't care how big our church is. No one cares when they come to our church for the first time. They don't know how many campuses we have. They don't know how our budget. They don't know any of that stuff. What they want to know is this a place where I will feel known and valued? To keep ourselves in line with this value, we regularly ask these kinds of questions. First is this: do the people I work with feel honored by how I speak about them, especially when they're not in the room? Are you honoring people? Second question you should ask is, do I actively invite feedback and collaboration? Or do I protect my work ideas and ego? When's the last time you said, please make what I'm doing better, speak into it? When have you done that? Third and last question is, when is the last time I made an interaction more personal, choosing presence and connection over convenience? When we honor people, we build real connections, collaborate well, and make things personal. We create relationships where life change can happen. That's why we prioritize relationships, because people matter to God, and getting relationships right is how we most effectively lead people to him.
I love this. Are you seeing how they all tie together, guys? Are you seeing how, that number one mission of running after the one ties right into excellence, which goes right into prioritizing relationships. And relationships are they're just the key, guys. They are the key. And love how Jason talked about it, how we always honor, we build connections, we collaborate, and we make it personal. A great example, we just experienced this at the movies, Build Week. Yes, we have to build Mario World. Yep, we got to get it done. But it is so easy that week to just put your head down and grind and try to get stuff done. I know I personally can struggle with that big time because that's my comfort zone. Building stuff is my comfort zone. And I have to intentionally pull myself away and focus on building relationships that week because it's not about the projects. It's about people and it's about relationships. Relationships aren't extras. They are essential. Long before someone trusts what we say about Jesus, they often experience his love through us. That's one of my favorite statements. Long before someone trusts what we say about Jesus, they often experience his love through us. I remember when I was in high school, we would go to the mall and we would tell people about Jesus. And I think we did more damage than we ever did good for the kingdom because there were no relationships. We were just bombarding people with the gospel and they were like, who the heck are you? It didn't make any sense. That's why we don't do that at LCBC. We prioritize relationships. So as a volunteer, what does that look like? It means learning names, making it personal. Listen, I'm not great at learning names, and there are literally hundreds of names to learn. And just because I'm not great at it doesn't mean I'm going to stop trying. I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying. We have to know people's names. Honoring teammates, how we show up, and choosing kindness under pressure. That one's huge. Again, going back to at the movies, man, it was crunch time, and it was easy to just snap at somebody and, get frustrated with somebody, and you got to choose kindness. So guys, we prioritize relationships.
I do have a question, Rob. Actually, two questions. Let's start with the mall. The
Yeah.
mall. Yeah. You go to the mall today. I don't even know who you're going to be reaching either. The mall.
An excellent point.
Okay, yes. And second of all, I am curious of those on the call tonight, how many of you, and you can raise your hand, you can either physically raise your hand or there's like this hand at the top of your screen that you can raise. And I'm curious, how many of you learned a new name, had a conversation, and or stopped enough just to like meet somebody new? Like any of you. Did anybody do any of that today? Raise your hand. Either physically raise your hand. Oh, Kim, I see your hand. Good. Great. And other people are too. I love this. Karen Frick, Kathy, Jeanette. I love this. Guys, I would love to see if we all, oh, Kim Walker. There were so many new people there today. So many people, new people who brought guests. We had people from other campuses. There were so many new. And I know sometimes we can get just bogged down in our roles and what we're doing on Sunday morning, but let's just be looking up and finding the people and building those relationships with people. All right. Our next one is we deploy people for impact. And we're going to watch the video first with Jason, and then we'll talk more about it. But I have to get to that video, guys. And then here we go.
The fourth core value at LCBC is this: we deploy people for impact. We deploy people for impact. And the belief behind this value is actually pretty powerful. We believe that people possess God-given gifts that are waiting to be unlocked for kingdom impact. God has placed unique strengths and talents and abilities inside every person. And part of our role as leaders is to help people discover those gifts and use them in ways that make a difference. Jesus actually told us at one point, he said, the harvest is plentiful. In other words, there's a work I want to do in this world, but the workers are few. So you think about that. There's no shortage. He's saying there's no shortage of people who need hope and healing in the message of Jesus. The shortage is in the workers, people willing to step up into the mission. And that's why this value matters so much. Deploying people is not optional. It is essential to run after the things God has put in front of us as a church. We're not just filling gaps in volunteer roles. We are developing workers for the harvest. And so how do we live this out? First, we identify and call out people's strengths. We look for what God's already placed in someone, their passion, their wiring, their natural abilities, their experiences. And we speak it out loud. We tell them, this is what you're good at. Has anybody ever told you that before? Sometimes people don't even see it in themselves, what others clearly see in them. And calling out strengths is often the first step towards unlocking their potential. Next, we place people in ministry environments where they're going to thrive. We don't just look to place people in our ministry areas. We look beyond our needs. That means taking time to discern where someone's gifts might align best in our church, where they're going to grow, where they're going to make the biggest impact. When people serve in the right environment, both the person and the ministry thrive. That is what we're going after. We also give people the tools and authority they need to be successful. Empowering people means equipping them. We provide training, clarity, resources, and the freedom to lead. We trust people with real responsibility because we believe God works through them. And lastly, we develop people by working shoulder to shoulder with them. We don't delegate and disappear. Don't do that. We walk alongside people as they learn, grow, and step into leadership. Development happens through relationships, coaching, and encouragement. These are the questions that I think keep us honest about whether we're living this value out or not. A couple of questions I would just tell you to put in front of yourself. First is this: am I placing people where they can thrive and grow, or am I primarily placing them where it's most convenient for my ministry and workload? Should ask that. Second question: in my role, am I activating people with vision and purpose, or am I mainly just assigning tasks for them to do so they can get things done? The next one is this: can I clearly name the strengths, gifts, and potential of the people I lead and work beside? And maybe more importantly, have I told them what I see? And the last question is, what's the name of one person I'm developing right now? Do you have a name? You should have a name, someone that you are investing into to see their gifts and strengths unlocked for the kingdom. When we identify strengths and we place people where they thrive, we equip them well and develop them shoulder to shoulder, we will unleash the potential that God has placed within his people for his kingdom. God has gifted every single person for a purpose. And when we help unlock those gifts and deploy people for impact, we help others experience the joy of being used by him in meaningful ways.
All right, guys. So this value reminds us that serving here, it's not just about meeting needs. It's about God using each of us and growing us. And we want to take just a few minutes and just reflect on what that means personally to you. And so we're going to use the chat. And the chat, you can find it at the top of your screen. It says chat. If you click on that, it'll come to the right side of your screen. And as you watch the video, what stood out or resonated most with you as we talked about deploying people for impact? What stood out to you as you were hearing that? And you can type that into the chat. Don't be shy. All right, thank you, Kim. Pulling out people's strengths that we see and helping them develop. That's right. Just some people don't even know that they have strengths or that they have something to bring, right? And so seeing that in people, activating people with vision and purpose. Thank you, Andrew. Kathleen, naming people's strengths and potential. Don't we all want people to see potential in us, right? Olivia, meeting people where they are at. That's right. We're not asking people to have already arrived and already having it all together, right? But meeting them right where they are at. Thank you, Olivia, for sharing that. Kim Walker, telling people the strengths we see in them. Guys, it feels good. If it feels good to us, we know people love that. People want to hear that. Sometimes people just can't see that. Karen, verbalizing strengths to people. Yes. Marianne, recognizing other people's strengths. I love that. And as we're saying about recognizing other people's strengths, it's good to know what your strengths are and know your part that you play, because God brings people here intentionally and gives each person unique gifts. That includes you. You're ministry leaders here. You're not just helpers or people filling in a task that needs to be done. You have strengths and gifts that God has given you. And so as you're saying, calling out other people's strengths to deploy them for impact, I want you guys to know that we see strengths in you and we need you for the mission. And we need you at LCBC to do what only you can do with your unique gifts and talents. And so just some other things I want you to be thinking about as we move on to the next one is, what do you think are some of the strengths or gifts God has given you that you get to use or want to use when you serve? And I even want to put it out there. If you're not using your gifts, let somebody know. Thank you, Russ. I see seeing things in people that they don't see themselves. Most of the things I've done at LCBC have been because someone else encouraged me to take next steps. Yes. Yes, we need each other, right? How do you recognize the strengths, gifts God has given to others? And when you do, how do you invite them to serve on our team? because everybody has a place on our teams. So we're so grateful for how each of you shows up, and God has put you, put something meaningful in you. And part of our role, all of our roles, is to help create space for that to grow and make an impact. All right, our next one is we are real and relatable. And so I just need to, I'm going to give this to you, Rob, and I'm going to cue up the video.
Yeah. Yeah, this is our last one, guys. And as Lorraine is queuing up the video, I'll talk some more about
No,
it.
I got it. Okay, let's watch the video.
Okay.
Our final core value is this: we are real and relatable. Why? Because we believe anyone should be able to engage with our church and feel welcome to be in process, regardless of where they are in their story. In Luke chapter 5, man, I love it. Jesus tells a story. He says, it's not the healthy who need a doctor, it's the sick. Then he says, I've not come to call the righteous, I've come to call sinners to repentance. A relationship with Jesus does not start with holiness. It starts with honesty. And he's just looking for honest people who are even in process, who will be real and relatable. He said, I can work with that. Every person who walks through our doors is on a journey. And some are exploring faith for the very first time. Some are carrying questions and doubts or hurt. Others are coming back to church for the first time in years. And we want every one of them to feel like this is a place where they can belong, where they can be honest, where they can take their next step. So how do we create that kind of environment? Well, the first place is it starts by choosing to act with integrity. You and I, we've got to act with integrity. Integrity builds trust. We are consistent. That's what we mean by that. We're the same person at home as we are at work, as we are at church. We follow through. We keep our word. We lead with character, even when no one's watching. When people can trust us, they feel safe enough to be real with us. Second thing is we live this out by practicing appropriate vulnerability. Being real doesn't mean you got to overshare with everybody. It doesn't mean any of that. It does mean you got to be genuine, though. We don't pretend to have it all together. We acknowledge our own humanity and our need for Jesus. When leaders model humility and authenticity, it gives others permission to be honest about where they're at as well. And then lastly, we are honest and we model relatability. We're all in process. I'm in process. You are as well. And people will follow a leader who's real, even if that leader is not always right. And guess what? None of us are always right, but they'll follow someone who's real. One of the things I love most is when people tell me, I felt like I could be at home at this church because I felt like people were so honest here. We keep ourselves accountable to this value of being real and relatable by asking 3 questions. So here's what I'm gonna put in front of you. The first is this: when's the last time you said, I'm sorry, I need help, or I don't know? Those are pretty real and relatable kind of questions. Second one is this: do my words, tone, and behavior look the same on stage, in meetings, in everyday life? Or do people experience different versions of me? If you would say they do, I would say you're probably not being real and relatable. And the last one is this: would the way that I talk about faith and life and people feel natural and authentic in any setting, not just at church? In other words, sometimes when we come to church, we start using all these words we don't use in real life. It's like all the these and thous. And it's like, oh, that's not real and relatable. No one talks like that. So just talk normal. When we live out our value of being real and relatable, we reflect the heart of Jesus, approachable, honest, and full of grace and truth. We lead with humility, honesty, and integrity so others don't feel pressured to pretend here. That's how we continue to introduce people to Jesus and together fully follow him.
Okay, so my story about being real and relatable. I came on staff 3 years ago or whatever. Was not in ministry before this, and going back to our last one of deploying people for impact, somebody saw something in me and continued to push me into the role that I'm in. But I talk about insecurity. I was terrified, completely terrified. And so what did I do? I thought, well, Jason Mitchell seems to be doing it right, so I guess I'll try to be like Jason Mitchell. And so I went out and bought myself some fancy white sneakers because Jason Mitchell wears fancy white sneakers, and put those suckers on, and I wore them, and I was like, wow, I feel even less like a pastor now. And so I took them off and promptly donated them to Goodwill and put my work boots back on. And I haven't taken them off since. And that's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. God made you uniquely who you are. Don't try to be somebody else. And just being vulnerable, just being honest with people. And yeah, like the slide said, and what Jason was talking about. So act with integrity. Practice appropriate vulnerability. We don't need to overshare, but sharing stories, particularly stories of when we failed, when we screwed up, it blows me away some of the stories that Matt Parks tells about himself up on stage, and it just makes you like him even more because he's real. And he has screwed up in his life, and he is the first one to admit it. And people can relate to that because we've all screwed up. And being honest and model relatability. That's what it's all about, guys. And so this value shapes how people experience our church the moment they interact with us. Every person who comes through our doors is on a journey, and our role is to help them feel they belong and can take next steps. If somebody walks in our doors and thinks everybody in this church is perfect, they're going to walk right back out the doors because they don't have it all together. And so if we're in there pretending like we've got it all together, man, that's not helping anybody. And so we need to be real. So what does this look like? What are examples as we serve? So asking for help. If you don't know the answer to something, it's ask for help. Ask somebody else for the answer. Again, imposter syndrome. I put it on myself that I'm supposed to have all the answers as a campus pastor. Oh, I should have all the answers. I do not have all the answers, and it can be really, really hard for me to admit that. And but it's the truth. And so it's okay for me to say, you know what? I need to get back to you on that one because I need to dig into that myself. So just being real, be honest, consistent, humble, acknowledge that we don't have it all together, but not oversharing. That's also important. And creating safe environments for guests. That's what it's all about, is creating a safe space for people to walk in, people that are far from God, that are willing to take one step, stepping onto our parking lot, interacting with our parking team, taking another step, walking in the door. Guys, this is hard for some people. And so for us to be a safe space for them to come in and be vulnerable themselves and open themselves up, man, it is so hard for them. And so we need to make it as simple as possible for them. And so just being who you are as you're interacting with them, you know, you shouldn't be someone different at home than you are at church. I shouldn't be someone different on stage than I am out in the atrium. That's what being real and relatable is all about.
Oops. Yes. So the values that define us, we run after the one, we pursue excellence, we prioritize relationships, we deploy people for impact, we are real and relatable. Guys, give yourselves a hand. You showed up. We got through the 5 values. All we have to do now is what are some action steps coming out of here? So great job. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to pull you guys up so I can see everybody's faces because this part is going to be a little interactive. Okay. So we did all the values. And so as you're thinking about your role and what could be next. How about choosing one value? And I need like 3 people to share. So not everybody needs to share, but if 3 people could share, if you could choose one value and just share how you can live it out this coming weekend or even this week in your role. So what's one value? And then just share how you can live it out this weekend, this coming weekend in your role or even during the week. So if you want to, and again, you can raise your hands and I will see you. Anybody who would like to share?
I think Jaden wants to share. I mean, look at him. He just.
Okay, Rob, are you calling him out?
Wow.
Yes.
Jaden,
Okay.
I want you to know I didn't do that. Okay.
No, listen, this is why I love Rob, because he challenges me.
All right.
Uh,
Tell us what your role is, Jaden.
Well, my role is I do the parking lot,
Yes.
which is a lot of fun because I get to see a lot of people and say hi to them and wish them a good day. And I love helping. I love being able to spot the old people or the people with families and hook them up with a spot up front. That always makes me feel good because they like that. They feel very special when that happens.
Yes.
It's a wonderful feeling, because they feel like a little VIP. It's cool.
Yeah.
But let's see here. I'm just trying to think of which one. The question was, what could I do like this week with one of the 5 things, right?
Yes. Or like
Yeah.
going into Sunday or the next time you're in your role.
Prioritize relationships. I think is something like when you asked at one point throughout here, you asked about did we say hi or talk to somebody today at church? And I was really trying to think, and I didn't. I mean, and I haven't. My lazy excuse is that, well, my wife and kids are there. My kids are young. They command my attention. But that's pretty lazy. It's a pretty lazy reason to not do it, to be honest. So I know that this. I wasn't expecting to get I didn't know really what I was going to get out of this, but I'll be honest, it kind of lit a little bit of a fire for me.
Oh, love that.
So everything I do, I'm like a 0 to 100 guy, and I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna run with it, and I'm gonna do a better job starting with Sunday. I'm gonna meet some people. I'm gonna talk to some people.
That's
I'm gonna
right.
make some stuff happen.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yes. I love it. Jaden, I love that. Love that for
Thanks
you.
for calling on me, Rob. I love you, man.
You're welcome. Who else wants to be called on?
Yes. Yes.
I was gonna say that's just Jaden right there, living out, being real and relatable. So I
Yes.
like it. Great example, Jaden.
Yeah. How about just one more person to share?
I can share. This is Kim.
Kim.
I'm team lead for New Here.
Okay.
I would say deploying people for action. You kind of get stuck in the rut of, okay, people show up for this day, they serve, and then they go home. And I think taking the time to kind of get to know people better, and I guess that is prioritizing relationships as well, but digging in and seeing kind of what inspires them, what is motivating for them, and seeing where else they can go with their gifts, and helping them to excel where they are at as well.
Yeah. Love that. Thank you for sharing, Kim. Yeah, having to have those conversations, right? Meeting somebody to have the conversations with, and then just finding where they are to have a greater impact. Thank you for sharing that, Kim. Guys, I want you not to walk away from here and not do anything with what we talked about. So I would say I just asked about a value and some shared, but I would love you to take one of our values and maybe it be your focus for the rest of the month. I encourage you to tell your staff team lead, let them know which value you're like, hey, as when we were in that training, this came up and this is what I was feeling, or the nudge that I got. Whatever it is, I encourage you to share, to have accountability around it, but take action on that. And I'm going to close us in prayer, guys, and I'm going to get you out by 8 o'clock. Right? Oh my gosh. All right. So let me pray, and then we'll get you out. God, thank you so much for tonight. Thank you for everyone who was able to join the call, God. So great to hear Jaden just being excited for what he gets to do, and doing it to glorify you, God. I'm so excited that everyone here said yes to serving at LCBC, to serving in the role that they're in, for serving families, serving kids, serving students, God, just bringing glory to you, Father. And I'm just so thankful for them. I'm so thankful that they're using their gifts and talents and their uniqueness that you've given only to them, Lord, to reach the one. And that is so encouraging to me. And I just pray as we leave here tonight that we take action on the things that we heard, and we just don't let them be things that we heard. And maybe we've heard these before. But I just pray, Lord, that you just put a spark in each and every one of us, to grow, develop, grow closer to you, and grow your kingdom. God, we just love you in Jesus' name. Amen. All right,
Amen.
guys, thanks for coming, and we will see you later. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Lorraine. Thanks,
Thank
Rob.
you.
Thanks, all.
Thank you.
Thank you.